The crying starts before the seatbelt sign turns off. Sharp, breathless, the kind of sound that slices through expensive silence and makes grown men shift in their seats. Ilyan Roe presses his spine against the leather, fingers knotted in his lap, and tries to become smaller. He's good at that. 23 years of practice. The agency told him to sit here, 3 rows from the back, and not to speak unless someone with power asks a direct question. They didn't mention the twins, didn't mention the man up front whose stillness feels like a held blade. The jet hums, pressurized air whispers through vents. Outside the window, clouds stretch white and endless, but inside, the space shrinks with every second the babies scream. Ilyan's chest tightens. He knows that cry. Not hunger, not discomfort. Fear. The nanny moves fast, her hands fumbling with a bottle that won't cooperate. Formula drips onto her uniform. She whispers something urgent to the flight attendant, a woman, with perfect hair and a smile that's already cracking. The attendant shakes her head, mouths something back. The spare supplies are locked in cargo, unreachable. The twins are premature. The nanny explains to no one in particular, sensitive to pressure changes, and they've been crying for 20 minutes before boarding even started. 20 minutes. Ilyan's jaw aches. He didn't realize he was clenching it. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Across the aisle, a man in a gray suit glances up from his tablet, eyes narrowed. Another passenger, older with a diamond watch that catches the light, mutters something about handling it and unacceptable. But no one moves, no one offers help. They just look at each other, then toward the front of the cabin, where the real authority sits. Rhevan Calder doesn't turn around. Ilyan can see the back of his head from here. Violet black hair, perfectly styled, not a strand out of place despite the chaos unfolding 6 feet behind him. His shoulders are broad beneath a suit that probably cost more than Ilyan's entire life. He sits like a statue, hands folded, head slightly tilted as if he's listening to something far more important than the desperate wailing of his own children. Because they are his children. Ilyan figured that out 10 minutes into the flight, the way the staff defers, the way no one dares to approach the man directly, the way the nanny's hands shake when she glances toward the front, as if waiting for permission that will never come. The twins cry harder. One of them chokes on their own breath, that wet, gasping sound that makes Ilyan's stomach drop. He's heard it before, years ago, in a place he's spent a lifetime trying to forget. A church shelter in Nebraska during a winter blackout. 6 Omega infants left in a room that got colder by the hour. He was one of them. Too young to remember faces, but old enough to remember the feeling. Being heard by no one, held by no one, until an older boy finally came and didn't leave. Ilyan survived because someone chose presence over protocol. The nanny's voice cracks. I don't know what else to do. The flight attendant touches her shoulder, but it's the kind of touch that means I can't help you either. The man in the gray suit closes his tablet with a snap. The woman with the diamond watch looks toward Rhevan again, and this time, there's something close to resentment in her eyes. Still, the alpha doesn't move. Ilyan's fingers loosen in his lap. His pulse kicks up, not from fear, but from something older, something biological that he's been trained to suppress. His scent blockers are cheap, the kind that wear off after 8 hours, and it's been 9 since he applied them at the airport. He can feel the edges of his own scent starting to leak through, soft, warm, unobtrusive. The kind of scent people don't notice until it's too late. He should reapply. He should stay quiet. He should do exactly what the agency told him to do, which is nothing. But the crying doesn't stop, and something inside Ilyan refuses to let that be the end of the story. He stands. The cabin goes still in a way that has nothing to do with the jet's engines. It's the kind of stillness that happens when a rule no one spoke aloud gets broken. The nanny looks up, startled. The flight attendant takes a step back. The man in the gray suit stares like Ilyan just announced he's hijacking the plane. Ilyan's voice comes out quieter than he intended. "I can help." The nanny blinks. "What?" "I might be able to help." He swallows. His throat feels dry. "With the twins?" "Do you have formula?" the flight attendant asks, her tone clipped, professional, already dismissing him. Ilyan shakes his head. "Then I don't see how." "I don't need formula." The words hang in the air. For 3 seconds, no one speaks. The twins scream. The jet hums. And then, slowly, like a dicker opening in a room everyone thought was sealed, Rhevan Calder turns his head. Golden eyes meet pale gray. The alpha doesn't stand, doesn't raise his voice, doesn't do anything except look at Ilyan with the kind of attention that makes the air feel heavier. "What did you say?" Ilyan's hands shake. He feels every pair of eyes on him now. The staff, the passengers, the nanny, whose expression has shifted from desperation to confusion to something that looks like horror. He shouldn't have stood. He shouldn't have spoken. But the twins are still crying, and Ilyan knows what happens when no one listens. "Some male omegas," he says, voice steadier now, "can produce. It's rare. It only happens under stress. But I think..." He stops, breathes. "I think I might be one of them." Silence crashes into the cabin like a fist through glass. The nanny's face goes white. The flight attendant takes another step back. The man in the gray suit actually laughs, short and disbelieving, as if Ilyan just told a joke in poor taste. Rhevan Calder stands. He doesn't move fast. He doesn't need to. The space around him rearranges itself to accommodate his presence. He steps into the aisle, and the cabin feels smaller, the air thinner. He's taller than Ilyan expected, broader, but it's not his size that makes Ilyan's heart hammer. It's the way the alpha looks at him. Not with disgust, not with disbelief, with calculation. "You're telling me," Rhevan says slowly, "that you can feed my children?" Ilyan nods, once, "And you're willing to do that, here, now?" Another nod. The alpha's gaze doesn't waver. He's not looking at the twins. He's not looking at the nanny or the staff or anyone else. He's looking at Ilyan like he's trying to see through skin and bone to whatever truth is buried underneath. The twins cry. Rhevan's jaw tightens, just barely, and for the first time since the flight began, Ilyan sees something other than control in the man's face. He sees doubt. "If you're lying," Rhevan says, voice low and cold, "you'll regret it. I'm not lying. If you're wrong, then nothing changes." Ilyan's voice surprises him with its steadiness. "But if I'm right, they stop crying?" The alpha studies him for another long, brutal moment. Then he steps aside. "Proceed." One word, not an order, not a command. Permission. Ilyan moves before fear can catch up to him. The nanny hands over the twins with trembling hands, and Ilyan takes them carefully, one in each arm. They're smaller than he expected, fragile. Their faces are red and wet, their little fists clenched tight, and when Ilyan holds them close, he feels the rapid flutter of their heartbeats against his chest. He sits down in the nearest seat, unbuttons his shirt halfway. No spectacle, no exposure beyond what's necessary. The cabin watches in silence, and, for the first time in his life, Ilyan Roe stops hiding what he is. His scent shifts, warm, grounding, undeniable. The twins latch instinctively, and their cries soften, then fade, then disappear entirely into the hum of the jet. Ilyan closes his eyes. He doesn't feel proud. He feels exposed. And when he opens his eyes again, Rhevan Calder is still watching him with an expression Ilyan can't name. But it's not disgust. It's something far more dangerous. What would you do if helping someone meant revealing your deepest secret? The cabin breathes again, not all at once, slowly, like a held lung finally exhaling. The man in the gray suit closes his tablet for good this time and leans back in his seat, eyes averted. The woman with the diamond watch signals for champagne. The flight attendant retreats to the galley without a word. The nanny sinks into her chair, face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking. No one says thank you. Ilyan didn't expect them to. The twins have gone quiet, their tiny bodies warm and slack against his chest. He can feel their breathing now, soft and even, the kind of calm that only comes after exhaustion burns itself out. His shirt is still unbuttoned, his arms still cradled around them, and he doesn't dare move in case the spell breaks. But he can feel the weight of what just happened settling over him like a second skin. He revealed something forbidden, not illegal, not technically, but the kind of thing people don't talk about in polite company. The kind of thing that gets whispered in omega shelters and gossiped about in medical forums. Male omegas who can lactate. It's rare enough that most people assume it's a myth. Convenient enough that the ones who can do it learn quickly to hide it. Ilyan learned that lesson early. He was 15 when it first happened. A neighbor's baby wouldn't stop crying during a power outage. The mother was sick, the formula spoiled, and Ilyan stood outside the apartment door for 10 minutes before he finally knocked. He didn't plan it, didn't think it through. He just knew the baby needed help. And something inside him responded. The mother let him in. The baby stopped crying. And 2 days later, Ilyan's caseworker moved him to a different group home without explanation. No one accused him of anything. No one called him names. But the message was clear. What he could do wasn't wrong exactly. It was just uncomfortable. The kind of thing that made people look away. Ilyan learned to look away too. Until today, he glances toward the front of the cabin. Rhevan hasn't sat back down. He's standing in the aisle, hands in his pockets, head tilted slightly as if he's listening to something no one else can hear. The other passengers give him a wide berth. Even the staff seem reluctant to approach. The Alpha is alone in a cabin full of people. Ilyan wonders if that's by choice or necessity. The nanny finally lifts her head. Her eyes are red, her face blotchy, and when she looks at Ilyan, there's something raw in her expression. Not gratitude, not relief, shame. I should have... She stops, swallows. I didn't know what else to do. Ilyan keeps his voice soft. You did everything you could. I didn't. Her hands twist in her lap. I froze. I just froze. They're safe now. Because of you. She says it like an accusation, like Ilyan's intervention wasn't a gift, but a failure on her part. I'm supposed to be their nanny. I'm supposed to know how to handle this. You can't control a locked cargo hold. I should have prepared better, checked the bags twice, brought backups for the backups. Her voice cracks. Mr. Calder doesn't tolerate mistakes. Ilyan glances at the Alpha again. Rhevan is still standing, still watching, but his expression hasn't changed. Stone, unreadable. He didn't fire you, Ilyan says quietly. Not yet. The flight attendant returns with a blanket. She drapes it over Ilyan's shoulders without making eye contact, then disappears back into the galley. The fabric is soft, expensive, and Ilyan pulls it tighter around the twins, shielding them from the cabin's recycled air. He's not their parent, he's not even their nanny, but for now, in this moment, he's the only one holding them. And that feels like enough. Until the man in the gray suit leans across the aisle. That was impressive, he says, voice low, conversational. Disturbing, but impressive. Ilyan doesn't respond. Didn't know male omegas could do that. The man's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Learn something new every day, I guess. Leave him alone, Marcus. The woman with the diamond watch doesn't look up from her glass. You're making it worse. I'm just saying, you're embarrassing yourself. Marcus leans back with a shrug, but his gaze lingers on Ilyan for a beat too long. Not hostile, not exactly, just curious. The way people look at animals in a zoo. Ilyan's scent shifts again, involuntarily, and this time it's sharper, defensive. He hates that his body betrays him like this, broadcasting emotions he'd rather keep buried. The twins stir slightly, sensing the change, and Ilyan forces himself to breathe slowly. Evenly, his scent softens again, and the babies settle back into sleep. He's good at calming others. He's never been good at calming himself. Rhevan moves, not toward Ilyan, toward Marcus. The alpha doesn't say a word. He just stands there, hands still in his pockets, golden eyes fixed on the man in the gray suit. The silence stretches, tightens. Marcus's smile fades. He clears his throat, picks up his tablet, and suddenly finds something very interesting on the screen. Rhevan doesn't acknowledge the retreat. He just turns and walks back toward the front of the cabin, his footsteps silent on the carpeted aisle. Ilyan exhales slowly. He's starting to understand something about the alpha. Rhevan Calder doesn't need to raise his voice to command a room. He doesn't need to threaten or posture or explain himself. His presence does the work for him. It's the kind of power that comes from certainty, not cruelty, and that makes it more dangerous, because cruelty is predictable. You can brace for it, plan around it. Certainty, though? Certainty just is. The nanny stands, her movements stiff and mechanical. I should take them back now. Ilyan hesitates. The twins are still asleep, their faces peaceful in a way they haven't been since he boarded. Are you sure? It's my job. I don't mind. It's my job, she repeats, firmer this time. There's no anger in her voice, just exhaustion. Please. Ilyan carefully transfers the twins back into her arms. She takes them with practiced efficiency, adjusting their blankets, checking their breathing. Professional, competent, everything she's supposed to be. But her hands still shake. Ilyan buttons his shirt back up, tugs the blanket off his shoulders, and folds it neatly on the seat beside him. His scent blockers are definitely gone now, worn away by stress and biology, and he can feel the cabin's attention shifting back to him in subtle ways. Eyes that don't quite meet his. Conversations that stop when he moves. He's not invisible anymore, and he doesn't know if that's better or worse. The flight attendant reappears with a bottle of water and a small tray of food. She sets it on the armrest without speaking, then leaves again. Ilyan stares at the tray. Fruit, cheese, crackers. The kind of thing people eat when they're trying to be polite. He's not hungry, but he eats anyway because refusing feels like drawing more attention. The jet hums. The clouds outside the window glow pink and gold as the sun starts to set. The cabin settles into a fragile quiet, the kind that comes after a crisis everyone wants to forget. Ilyan leans his head back and closes his eyes. He doesn't regret what he did, but he knows, with a certainty that sits heavy in his chest, that nothing will be the same after this flight lands. The nanny sits near the front now, the twins cradled against her chest. She rocks them gently, humming a tune Ilyan can't quite hear. And Rhevan Calder watches her, not with anger, not with disappointment, with something else, something Ilyan recognizes because he's felt it too, the suffocating weight of responsibility no one asked for. Can you ever go back to being invisible after the world has seen who you really are? Ilyan wakes to silence, the kind that presses against eardrums and makes the absence of sound louder than noise ever was. He blinks, disoriented, the cabin lights dimmed to a soft amber glow. Outside the window, the sky has gone dark, stars scattered across an endless black canvas. He didn't mean to fall asleep. The twins are quiet. The nanny is asleep too, slumped in her seat near the front, the babies nestled against her in a carrier. The other passengers have retreated into their own worlds, tablets glowing, headphones on, champagne glasses empty on, armrests. Ilyan's mouth is dry. He reaches for the water bottle the flight attendant left, drains half of it, and sets it back down. His body feels heavy, drained in a way that has nothing to do with physical exhaustion. He gave something today, something he can't take back. And now the waiting begins. He's halfway through convincing himself that maybe, possibly, no one will make a big deal out of what happened when he notices the alpha standing at the front of the cabin. Rhevan isn't looking at anyone. He's staring out the window, hands clasped behind his back, shoulders tense beneath the tailored suit. The man hasn't changed clothes, hasn't loosened his tie, hasn't done anything to suggest he's human and not some perfectly constructed statue. Ilyan wonders if the alpha ever rests. As if sensing the thought, Rhevan turns. Their eyes meet across the cabin. For a moment, neither moves. Then Rhevan inclines his head just slightly and gestures toward the rear of the plane, an invitation or a summons. Ilyan's pulse kicks up, but he stands anyway. His legs feel unsteady, his scent still leaking through despite his best efforts to suppress it. He walks down the aisle, past sleeping passengers and dimmed lights, until he reaches the small private section at the back of the jet. Rhevan is already there, standing with his back to the door, arms crossed. Ilyan stops just inside the threshold. "You wanted to talk? Sit." It's not a command, not quite, but Ilyan sits anyway, choosing the chair farthest from the alpha because proximity feels dangerous right now. Rhevan doesn't sit, he just watches, golden eyes sharp even in the dim light. "You didn't ask permission," the alpha says finally. Ilyan's throat tightens. "I know. You stood up in front of my staff, my associates, and announced something most people would rather keep hidden. I know. You put yourself at risk." "The twins were at risk," Ilyan says quietly. That seemed more important. Rhevan's jaw tightens, just barely. "You don't know me. You don't know what I'm capable of." "No," Ilyan admits, "but I know what those babies needed." Silence stretches between them, taut and fragile. Then Rhevan moves, crossing the small space in 2 strides and lowering himself into the chair opposite Ilyan. Up close, the alpha looks different, older maybe, or just tired. There are shadows under his eyes that the dim light can't quite hide, and when he leans back, his shoulders drop just slightly, as if he's allowing himself a moment of weakness no one else will see. "Why did you do it?" Rhevan asks. "Because no one else was going to." "That's not an answer." Ilyan meets his gaze. "Yes, it is." The alpha studies him for a long moment, then lets out a breath that might almost be a laugh if it weren't so bitter. "You're either very brave or very stupid." "Probably both." This time, Rhevan does laugh. Short, quiet, surprising. "What's your name?" "Ilyan. Ilyan Roe." "How old are you, Ilyan Roe?" 23? "And how long have you known you could do what you did today?" Ilyan hesitates. "Since I was 15. 8 years?" Rhevan's eyes narrow. "And in those 8 years, how many times have you used that ability?" "Twice, including today." "Why so few?" "Because people don't like it." Ilyan's voice is steady, but his hands are clenched in his lap. "They don't say it out loud, but they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable, makes me uncomfortable." "But you did it anyway." The twins were crying. "So were you once," Rhevan says quietly. "Weren't you?" Ilyan's breath catches. He didn't expect that. Didn't expect the alpha to guess or to care. "How did you know?" "Your scent." Rhevan leans forward slightly. "It's not just Omega, it's specific." the kind that comes from surviving something most people don't. Ilyan doesn't know what to say to that, so he says nothing. Rhevan watches him for another beat, then sits back. The twins' mother is dead. The words land heavy. Ilyan swallows. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't kill her? The alpha's voice is flat, emotionless. She died in childbirth. Complications? The doctors said it was quick. That doesn't make it easier. No, Rhevan agrees. It doesn't. Silence again. But this time, it's different. Less fragile, more shared. I didn't plan for this, Rhevan says after a moment. I didn't plan for twins. Didn't plan to raise them alone. Didn't plan for any of it. No one plans for loss. Some people do. The alpha's smile is sharp. Some people see it coming and prepare. I didn't. I thought I had time. Ilyan doesn't know what to say, so he just listens. The nanny is good, Rhevan continues. Experienced, well paid, but she's not what they need. What do they need? Rhevan's gaze sharpens. Someone who doesn't freeze when things go wrong. Someone who acts instead of waiting for permission. That's not fair to her. I didn't say it was fair. I said it was true. Ilyan shifts in his seat. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm trying to figure out if you're an opportunity or a liability. The honesty is brutal, but Ilyan appreciates it more than platitudes. I'm not looking for a job, he says carefully. I didn't offer you one. Then what are you offering? Rhevan doesn't answer immediately. He stands, walks to the small window, and stares out at the darkness beyond. When he speaks again, his voice is quieter. I'm offering you a choice. You can walk away when we land. I'll make sure you're compensated for what you did today. You'll never hear from me again. Or you stay. Rhevan turns to face him. You help me figure out what the twins need, and in return, I make sure you're protected, safe, free to live however you want, without fear of anyone using what you are against you. Ilyan's heart hammers. Why would you do that? Because I don't have time to waste on people who won't act when it matters. Rhevan's gaze is steady. And you acted. That means something. It means I couldn't watch them suffer? Exactly. The alpha crosses his arms. Most people can. You couldn't. That's rare. Ilyan doesn't know what to say. The offer is too big, too sudden, too impossible to process in a dim cabin at 30,000 feet. I don't know you, he says finally. No, Rhevan agrees. You don't. And you don't know me. I know enough. Do you? Rhevan's smile is faint. I know you stood up when everyone else sat down. I know you offered help without asking what you'd get in return. I know you're scared right now, but you're still sitting here instead of running. He pauses. That's enough for me. Ilyan wants to argue, wants to point out all the reasons this is a terrible idea, but the words won't come, because part of him, maybe the part that's been invisible for too long, wants to say yes. Rhevan doesn't push. He just waits, patient and still, as if he has all the time in the world. Finally, Ilyan speaks. I need time to think. Take it. The alpha moves toward the door, then pauses. But Ilyan? Yeah? Whatever you decide, thank you. For today, the twins needed you, and you showed up. Rhevan leaves before Ilyan can respond. The door closes softly, and Ilyan is alone in the dim, humming quiet of the jet's rear cabin. His hands are shaking. He doesn't know if it's fear or excitement or something in between. But for the first time in his life, the choice is his, and that terrifies him more than anything. Would you take a leap of faith with a stranger if it meant finally being seen? The jet descends 2 hours later. Ilyan feels the shift in pressure before the announcement comes. Ears popping, stomach dropping, the subtle tilt that means they're leaving the sky behind. He presses his forehead against the window and watches the ground rise to meet them, city lights spreading like spilled gold across the darkness. He still hasn't decided. Rhevan's offer sits in his chest like a stone, heavy, immovable, the kind of thing he can't ignore no matter how hard he tries. Stay, be protected, be free, or walk away and go back to being no one. Both options feel impossible. The flight attendant moves through the cabin, collecting glasses and blankets, her smile automatic and empty. She doesn't look at Ilyan. No one does. The twins are awake again, quiet now, their wide eyes tracking movement with the vague curiosity of infants who don't yet understand the world. The nanny holds them close, whispering softly, and Ilyan wonders if she knows about the offer. If, Rhevan told her, if she resents Ilyan for existing. He wouldn't blame her if she did. The wheels touch down with a jolt. The cabin shudders, engines roaring in reverse, and then they're taxiing toward the private terminal, smooth and efficient. No crowds, no baggage, claim. Just a sleek black car waiting on the tarmac, engine idling, driver standing at attention. Ilyan's chest tightens. This is it. Decision time. The jet rolls to a stop. The seatbelt sign blinks off. Passengers stand, stretching, gathering their things with the casual ease of people who fly private jets every week. Ilyan stays seated. His bag is in the overhead compartment, but he doesn't reach for it. He doesn't know what he's waiting for. The Alpha appears at his row. Rhevan doesn't say anything. He just stands there, one hand resting lightly on the seat back, his expression unreadable. Up close, Ilyan can see the faint lines around his eyes, the tension in his jaw that never quite releases. "We're here," Rhevan says quietly. "I know." "Have you decided?" Ilyan's throat feels tight. "No." The Alpha nods as if he expected that answer. "Then come with me anyway." "Where?" "To the car. We'll drive. You'll see the city. And if, by the time we reach the estate, you still want to leave, I'll arrange transport anywhere you want to go. No conditions, no strings." "And if I stay?" Rhevan's gaze doesn't waver. "Then we figure out the rest together." It's not a promise, not exactly, but it's something. Ilyan stands. He doesn't say yes, doesn't say no. He just follows the Alpha down the aisle, past the other passengers who still won't meet his eyes, past the nanny who watches him with something like grief, past the flight attendant who holds the door open without speaking. The night air hits him like a slap, cool, sharp, carrying the faint smell of jet fuel and asphalt. The car is sleek and black, windows tinted, and the driver opens the rear door without a word. Rhevan climbs in first. Ilyan hesitates, then follows. The interior smells like leather and something faintly citrus. The seats are deep, comfortable, and the door closes with a solid thunk that makes the outside world feel impossibly far away. Rhevan doesn't speak. He just watches as the driver pulls away from the terminal, headlights cutting through the darkness. Ilyan presses his hand against the window, feeling the cool glass beneath his palm. Outside, the city unfolds. Skyscrapers glittering, streets humming with late-night traffic, neon signs flickering in storefront windows. It's beautiful and overwhelming, and nothing like the small towns he's lived in his entire life. "Where are we?" Ilyan asks. "Chicago. I've never been here." "It's loud," Rhevan says, "but it grows on you." They drive in silence for a while, the city slipping past like a film reel. Ilyan watches a couple arguing on a street corner, a homeless man bundled against a building, a group of teenagers laughing outside a convenience store. Life, messy and real and happening without him. "Why did you leave the twins' mother out of the announcement?" Ilyan asks suddenly. Rhevan's expression tightens. "Who said I did?" "You did, just now. You said she died in childbirth, but you didn't say her name." You didn't say anything about her except that she's gone." The alpha is quiet for a long moment. Then he exhales slowly. Her name was Amara. Ilyan waits. She was brilliant, sharp, the kind of person who saw through everyone's lies except her own. Rhevan's voice is flat, controlled. "We weren't in love, but we respected each other. That was enough." Until it wasn't. Until she got pregnant. Rhevan's jaw tightens. And then everything changed. She wanted out, wanted to raise the twins somewhere quiet, somewhere safe, away from me, away from everything I am. But she didn't get that chance? No. The alpha's hands clench into fists. She didn't. Ilyan doesn't know what to say, so he says nothing. "I didn't plan to be a father," Rhevan continues. "I didn't plan for any of this, but the twins are here, and Amara is gone, and now I have to figure out how to raise children in a world that will judge them for who their parents are. They're just babies. For now." Rhevan's gaze is sharp. "But they'll grow, and people will talk, and I need to make sure that when they're old enough to understand, they know their mother was more than just a headline." Ilyan's chest aches. "You loved her." "I respected her." Rhevan's voice is firm. "That's not the same thing." "Isn't it?" The alpha doesn't answer. The car turns onto a quieter street, trees lining the road, houses set back behind wrought iron gates, wealth, privacy, the kind of neighborhood where neighbors don't wave and security cameras watch every corner. Rhevan shifts in his seat. "I'm not a good man, Ilyan." "I didn't say you were. I'm saying it, so you understand what you're walking into." The alpha's gaze is steady. "I've made decisions that hurt people. I've used power in ways that can't be undone. I'm not asking you to forgive that. I'm asking you to see it clearly." "Why?" "Because if you stay, you'll be part of this world, and I won't lie to you about what that means." Ilyan's pulse kicks up. "What does it mean?" "It means people will watch you, judge you, use you if they can." Rhevan's voice is cold. "It means you'll have protection, yes, but you'll also have expectations. And if you can't meet them, the consequences won't just fall on you. They'll fall on the twins." "Exactly." Ilyan swallows hard. "You're trying to scare me." "I'm trying to be honest." "Why?" "Because the alternative is you saying yes and regretting it later." Rhevan leans back, arms crossed. "And I don't have time to manage regret." The car slows, turning through a set of tall gates that open automatically. A long driveway stretches ahead, lit by soft ground lights, and at the end of it sits a house. No, a mansion, stone and glass, modern but grounded, surrounded by perfectly manicured lawns. Ilyan's breath catches. This is where the alpha lives. This is the world he's being invited into. The car stops. The driver opens the door. Rhevan steps out first, then turns and offers Ilyan a hand. Ilyan stares at it. This is the moment. Stay or go. Safety or freedom. Known or unknown. He takes the alpha's hand and steps out into the night. What would you sacrifice to finally have a place where you belong? The house is quieter than Ilyan expected. No music, no voices, just the soft hum of climate control and the faint tick of a clock somewhere out of sight. The foyer is massive. Marble floors, high ceilings, a chandelier that looks like it costs more than every place Ilyan's ever lived combined. But it doesn't feel warm. It feels like a museum. Beautiful, untouchable, empty. Rhevan moves through the space with the ease of someone who's lived here forever, shedding his suit jacket and draping it over the back of a chair. Underneath, his shirt is crisp, perfectly pressed, but there's a tension in his shoulders that hasn't released since they boarded the jet. The twins' room is upstairs, the alpha says without looking back. The nanny will handle the night routine. You're free to explore or rest. Your choice. Ilyan hesitates in the doorway. Where should I? Third door on the left. Guest room. Ensuite bathroom. Clothes in the closet if you need them. Rhevan pauses at the base of a wide staircase. If you need anything else, there's a phone on the nightstand. Dial 0. And if I decide to leave? Rhevan's gaze sharpens. Then tell me in the morning. I'll have a car ready by 8. He climbs the stairs without waiting for a response, his footsteps silent on the plush carpet. Ilyan watches him go, then stands alone in the foyer, feeling impossibly small. He's still wearing the same clothes from the flight, still smells faintly of infant formula and his own leaking scent. His bag is somewhere, probably brought in by the driver, but he doesn't have the energy to look for it. He just wants to sit down. The guest room is exactly where Rhevan said it would be. Third door on the left. Ilyan pushes it open and steps inside, and for a moment, he just stares. The bed is enormous, king-sized, maybe bigger, with white linens that look impossibly soft. There's a sitting area by the window, a desk in the corner, a bathroom that's larger than most bedrooms he's slept in. The closet door is ajar, revealing neatly hung clothes, shirts, pants, even pajamas, all in neutral colors and sizes that look like they might actually fit him. Someone prepared this. Rhevan prepared this, or had someone prepare it, which amounts to the same thing. Ilyan's chest tightens. He hasn't said yes yet, but the alpha is already making space for him. He crosses to the window and pulls back the curtain. The view is stunning. Rolling lawns, a pool glowing faintly blue in the darkness, trees swaying gently in the breeze. Beyond the property line, the city glitters, distant and alive. Ilyan presses his forehead against the glass and closes his eyes. What is he doing here? 24 hours ago, he was in a cramped apartment in Nebraska, eating ramen and wondering if he'd make rent. Now he's standing in a mansion in Chicago, being offered protection and purpose by a man he doesn't know. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. But the twins stopped crying when he held them. And that has to mean something. A soft knock pulls him from his thoughts. Ilyan turns, expecting to see Rhevan, but it's the nanny standing in the doorway. She looks exhausted, hair falling out of its bun, uniform wrinkled, eyes red-rimmed. "I'm sorry to disturb you," she says quietly. "You're not." Ilyan crosses to the door. "Is everything okay?" The twins are asleep. Finally, she tries to smile, but it doesn't reach her eyes. "I just wanted to thank you for earlier, on the plane." Ilyan doesn't know what to say. "You don't have to." "Yes, I do." Her voice cracks slightly. "I've been their nanny for 3 months. 3 months, and I still don't know what I'm doing. And then you knew. You didn't hesitate." "I've done it before," Ilyan says softly. "That's all?" "That's not all." She shakes her head. "You gave them something I couldn't, and I'm grateful. But I'm also..." She trails off, swallowing hard. "I'm also scared." Ilyan's stomach drops. Scared of what? That Mr. Calder will replace me, that I'll lose this job, that everything I've worked for will disappear because I froze when it mattered most. "He didn't fire you." "Not yet." Her smile is bitter. "But he doesn't need to. I see the way he looks at me now, like I'm insufficient." Ilyan's chest aches. "That's not fair." "Maybe not, but it's reality." She straightens, smoothing her uniform. "I just wanted to say thank you. And to tell you that if you decide to stay, I won't make it difficult. The twins deserve the best, even if that means stepping aside." She leaves before Ilyan can respond. He stands in the doorway, staring at the empty hallway, and feels the weight of the day pressing down on him. This isn't just about the twins, it's about power, about who gets to decide what's best, about systems that value results over humanity. And Ilyan is standing in the middle of it, unsure which side he's supposed to be on. He closes the door and leans against it, eyes shut, breathing slow. He should leave. He should walk out right now, before this gets more complicated, before he gets tangled in someone else's life in ways he can't undo. But when he thinks about the twins, their tiny hands, their soft breathing, the way they finally stopped crying, he can't make his feet move toward the door because they need him. And maybe, just maybe, he needs them too. Ilyan showers, standing under water hot enough to scald, until his skin is pink and his muscles loosen. He dries off with a towel that's softer than anything he's ever owned, then pulls on a pair of the pajamas from the closet. They fit perfectly. Of course they do. He climbs into bed, and the mattress cradles him like a cloud. The sheets smell faintly of lavender. The pillow is exactly the right firmness. Everything is perfect. Everything except the decision he still hasn't made. Ilyan closes his eyes and lets exhaustion pull him under. He dreams of crying, not the twins, himself, 6 infants in a cold room, and no one coming to help until someone does. He wakes hours later to silence. The room is dark, the house still. His phone, wherever it is, doesn't tell him the time, but it feels late or early, that strange in-between hour when the world holds its breath. Ilyan slips out of bed and pads barefoot to the door. He doesn't know what he's looking for, doesn't know why he's moving. He just knows he can't lie still anymore. The hallway is dimly lit by wall sconces. He moves quietly, instinctively, the way he learned to move in group homes where making noise meant attracting attention. He finds the twins' room without meaning to. The door is cracked open, a soft nightlight glowing inside. Ilyan pushes it wider and steps inside, heart in his throat. The twins are asleep in matching cribs, their small chests rising and falling in perfect rhythm. The room is warm, decorated in soft blues and greens, with a rocking chair in the corner and shelves lined with books they won't be able to read for years. Ilyan crosses to the nearest crib and looks down. One of the twins, he doesn't know which, has a hand curled into a tiny fist near their face. Their eyelashes are impossibly long, their skin smooth and unmarked by the world. Innocent, fragile, his? The thought comes unbidden, sharp and sudden, and Ilyan's breath catches. They're not his. They'll never be his. But standing here, in this quiet room, with these 2 lives breathing softly in the dark, Ilyan feels something shift inside him. A decision made without words. A choice that terrifies him more than anything. He reaches down and gently touches the baby's hand. The tiny fingers curl reflexively around his, grip surprisingly strong. And Ilyan knows, with a certainty that sits heavy in his chest, that he's not leaving in the morning. He's staying. For them, for himself, for whatever comes next. Behind him, a voice cuts through the silence. I knew you'd choose them. Ilyan turns. Rhevan stands in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. How? Ilyan asks quietly. Because you already did, on the plane. The Alpha steps inside, closing the door behind him. You just needed time to realize it. Ilyan swallows hard. What happens now? Rhevan's gaze is steady, certain, dangerous. Now, he says, we figure out how to protect them from the world that's coming. And Ilyan, standing in the dim glow of a nightlight with someone else's children sleeping peacefully nearby, realizes he's just stepped into something far bigger and far more complicated than he ever imagined. What would you risk to protect something that was never supposed to be yours? The coffee burns Ilyan's tongue, but he drinks it anyway. 6 a.m. Kitchen flooded with pale morning light. Rhevan sits across from him at the marble island, sleeves rolled to his elbows, reading something on a tablet. The twins are still asleep upstairs. The nanny hasn't emerged yet. The house feels like it's holding its breath. Ilyan sets the mug down carefully. You said we need to talk. We do. Rhevan doesn't look up. About what happens next? I'm staying. I already told you. Saying it and understanding it are different things. The alpha finally meets his gaze. You're about to become visible in ways you can't imagine. People will ask questions. They'll dig into your past. They'll look for weakness. Ilyan's stomach tightens. I don't have anything to hide. Everyone has something to hide. Rhevan's voice is matter-of-fact. The question is whether you're prepared for strangers to find it anyway. The words sit heavy between them. Ilyan thinks about Nebraska, the group homes, the caseworker who moved him without explanation, the neighbors who stopped making eye contact after that night with the crying baby. He spent his whole life being invisible. Now the alpha is telling him that's about to end. What do you need from me? Ilyan asks quietly. Honesty. Rhevan sets the tablet aside. I need to know everything that could come back to hurt you, or the twins, medical history, family, legal issues, anything. I don't have family. Everyone has family. Not me. Ilyan's jaw tightens. I was left at a church when I was 3 days old. No note, no name, just a blanket and a onesie that didn't fit. The state gave me a name and shuffled me through the system until I aged out. Rhevan's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes. No one ever claimed you? No. No relatives came forward? No one tried to find you? If they did, they didn't try very hard. Silent stretches, not uncomfortable, just present. What about medical records? Rhevan asks. Standard omega evaluations, nothing unusual except... Ilyan hesitates. Except the lactation thing. They documented it when I was 15, called it a rare anomaly, told me it probably wouldn't happen again. But it did? Yesterday, on the plane. Ilyan wraps both hands around his mug. I didn't know if it would work. I just knew I had to try. Rhevan leans back, arms crossed. You risked exposure for 2 children you'd never met. They needed help. So do a lot of people. You don't help all of them. I couldn't reach all of them. Ilyan meets the alpha's gaze. I could reach yours. Something flickers across Rhevan's face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. He stands, crossing to the coffee maker and refilling his own cup. The twins' biological mother, he says without turning around, was threatened 3 times during her pregnancy, twice by rival syndicates who wanted leverage, once by someone claiming to be her sister. Ilyan's breath catches. Was she? Her sister? No, DNA tests proved it, but the threat was real enough. Rhevan returns to his seat. Amara didn't tell me about the first 2 threats. She handled them herself. Quietly. It wasn't until the 3rd that I found out. What did you do? What I always do. The alpha's voice is cold. I removed the problem. Ilyan doesn't ask what that means. He's not sure he wants to know. After Amara died, Rhevan continues, the threats stopped. I thought that was the end of it. But 2 weeks ago, someone tried to access the twins' medical records. Hospital flagged it. We traced it back to a shell company in Delaware. Who owns it? That's what I'm still trying to figure out. Rhevan's jaw tightens. Which is why I need you to understand what you're walking into. This isn't just about feeding 2 infants. It's about protecting them from people who see them as leverage. Ilyan's hands shake slightly. He sets the mug down before he spills it. You think someone will come after them? I think someone already is. Rhevan's gaze is steady. And if they find out you exist, if they find out what you can do, they'll come after you too. The words land like stones. Ilyan knows he should be scared, should be second-guessing his decision, should be planning an escape route, but all he feels is resolve. Then we don't let them find out, he says quietly. Rhevan's expression shifts, something almost like approval. You sound certain. I am. Why? Ilyan thinks about the twins sleeping upstairs, their tiny hands, their soft breathing, the way they finally stopped crying when someone actually listened. Because they deserve better than being used as weapons, he says, and if I can help prevent that, I will. Rhevan studies him for a long moment. Then he nods, once, decisive. All right, the alpha stands. Then we start today. I'll have my security team run a full background check on you, not because I don't trust you, but because I need to know what others will find. I'll also assign you a protection detail. They'll be discreet, but they'll be present. I don't need... You do. Rhevan's voice is firm. And you'll accept it. That's non-negotiable. Ilyan wants to argue, but the look in the alpha's eyes stops him. This isn't about control, it's about care. Okay, he says finally. Rhevan's shoulders drop slightly, tension easing. Good. We'll also need to address the nanny situation. What about her? She's competent, but she's not enough. The twins need more than someone who follows protocol. Rhevan pauses. They need someone who acts on instinct, someone who puts them first without needing to be told. That's not fair to her. I didn't say I was firing her. I said she's not enough. The alpha's gaze sharpens. You'll work together. She handles the logistics, schedules, feeding, doctors. You handle the rest. The rest? Everything she can. Rhevan's voice softens just slightly. Everything I can. Ilyan's throat tightens. He's being offered a role he never asked for, a role that terrifies him, but also a role that feels right in a way nothing else ever has. What if I mess up? He asks quietly. You will. Rhevan's honesty is brutal. Everyone does. The question is whether you'll learn from it or let it break you. And if it breaks me, then I'll help you put the pieces back together. The alpha's gaze is steady. But I don't think that's going to happen. Why not? Because you've already survived worse. Rhevan crosses his arms. And you're still standing. The words settle over Ilyan like a blanket. Not warm, not comforting, but real. Footsteps sound from upstairs, soft, hesitant. The nanny appears at the top of the stairs, hair pulled back, uniform fresh. She pauses when she sees them in the kitchen. The twins are awake, she says quietly. Rhevan nods. Bring them down. Ilyan and I will handle breakfast. The nanny's face goes carefully blank. She nods once, then disappears back upstairs. Ilyan watches her go, guilt twisting in his chest. She thinks I'm replacing her. You're not. Rhevan moves toward the refrigerator. But she needs to understand that her role has changed, and that's not your fault. It feels like it is. Feelings aren't facts. The alpha pulls out eggs, butter, bread. She'll adjust, or she won't. Either way, the twins come first. Ilyan wants to argue, wants to defend the nanny, to say that people deserve compassion even when they're not perfect. But the twins start crying upstairs, and the sound cuts through everything else. Rhevan doesn't move, doesn't even glance toward the stairs. He just looks at Ilyan, waiting, testing. Ilyan stands without thinking. His body moves before his mind catches up, feet carrying him toward the stairs, toward the sound of distress that he can't ignore. He reaches the twins' room just as the nanny is lifting one of them from the crib. The baby's face is red, scrunched, wailing. May I? Ilyan asks softly. The nanny hesitates, then hands over the infant. Ilyan cradles the baby close, and his scent shifts. Warm, grounding, Instinctive? The crying softens almost immediately, hiccuping into quiet whimpers. The nanny stares. How do you do that? I don't know, Ilyan admits. I just listen. I listen too. I know, Ilyan meets her gaze. But maybe we listen to different things. The nanny's expression crumbles, just slightly, before she pulls it back together. She turns away, lifting the second twin with practiced efficiency. And Ilyan understands, with a clarity that hurts, that this is what his presence will cost. Not money, not safety, but someone else's sense of worth. Downstairs, Rhevan waits. And Ilyan, holding a child that isn't his, realizes he's just crossed a line he can never uncross. Can you build something new without breaking what came before? The lawyer arrives 3 days later. Ilyan is in the twins' room, changing a diaper while humming something formless, when he hears the doorbell. Voices in the foyer, low, urgent, the kind of tone that means trouble. He finishes with the diaper, washes his hands, and carries the twin downstairs. The nanny has the other one, feeding her in the kitchen with mechanical precision. In the foyer, Rhevan stands with a woman in a charcoal suit. She's tall, sharp-featured, with gray-streaked hair pulled into a severe bun. Her eyes flick to Ilyan, then back to the alpha. This is him? She asks. Yes. Rhevan's voice is clipped. Ilyan, this is Davina Marsh, my attorney. Ilyan shifts the baby in his arms. Nice to meet you. Davina doesn't return the pleasantry. We need to talk, privately. Anything you say to me, you can say in front of him, Rhevan says. The attorney's jaw tightens. Fine. Someone leaked information about the incident on the plane. It's already circulating in certain circles. Ilyan's stomach drops. What kind of circles? Rhevan asks. The kind that trade in leverage. Davina pulls out a tablet, swipes through screens. 3 separate inquiries in the last 48 hours, all asking about a male omega with unusual capabilities, all offering significant sums for identification. The baby in Ilyan's arms starts to fuss. He rocks gently, automatically, but his heart is hammering. Who's asking? Rhevan's voice is ice. Shell companies, offshore accounts, the usual suspects when someone wants information without fingerprints. Davina looks at Ilyan directly. You've become a commodity, and commodities get bought and sold. Ilyan's throat closes. Can you trace it? Rhevan asks. I'm trying, but whoever's asking knows how to cover their tracks. Davina tucks the tablet under her arm. In the meantime, I recommend limiting his exposure. No public appearances, no social media, no unnecessary travel. He's not a prisoner, Rhevan says flatly. No, but he's a target. Davina's gaze is hard. And targets don't last long when they're visible. The baby whimpers. Ilyan bounces slightly, and the sound quiets. What else? Rhevan asks. The nanny. Davina's tone shifts. She's been contacted. Ilyan's head snaps up. What? 2 days ago, someone claiming to be a journalist asked about her employment, about the flight, about whether there was any unusual activity. Davina glances at Rhevan. She didn't respond, but the inquiry itself is a problem. Does she know about this? Ilyan asks. Not yet. Rhevan's jaw tightens. But she will. Footsteps behind him. The nanny appears from the kitchen, the second twin asleep in her arms. She stops when she sees the lawyer. What's going on? She asks. Rhevan doesn't sugarcoat it. Someone's asking questions about the flight, about Ilyan, about you. The nanny's face goes pale. Who? We don't know yet. The alpha's voice is firm. But until we do, you don't talk to anyone outside this house. No friends, no family, no one. I haven't done anything wrong. I didn't say you did. Rhevan steps closer. But someone wants information, and they're using pressure to get it. I need you to be careful. The nanny's hands shake slightly. She adjusts her grip on the twin. I won't say anything. Good. Rhevan nods toward Davina. If anyone contacts you again, anyone, you tell her immediately. The nanny nods, then retreats back toward the kitchen, shoulders hunched. Ilyan watches her go, guilt twisting in his chest. Davina turns back to Rhevan. There's one more thing. What? The twins' medical records? Someone tried to access them again. Different shell company, same methods. Rhevan's expression goes cold. When? Yesterday. Hospital caught it, but barely. Davina's voice is grim. Whoever's behind this is getting bolder. Ilyan's pulse kicks up. What do they want? Proof, Davina says bluntly. Proof that you exist. Proof that you're connected to the twins. Proof that you're valuable. And then? Then they leverage it. The attorney's gaze is unflinching. Against you, against Rhevan, against anyone they think will pay to keep the information quiet. The baby in Ilyan's arms squirms. He realizes he's holding too tight and forces himself to relax. How do we stop it? He asks. We don't. Davina's tone is flat. We contain it, minimize the damage, make sure that when the information does get out, and it will, it's on our terms, not theirs. Rhevan shakes his head. No, we stop it. You can't stop information, Davina argues. You can only control the narrative. Then we control it. The Alpha's voice is steel. Starting now. Davina sighs. What do you want me to do? Find out who's asking. Trace every shell company, every offshore account, every inquiry. I want names. That could take weeks. Then start now. The attorney nods once, then leaves without another word. The door closes behind her, and the house falls silent except for the soft sounds of the twins. Ilyan looks at Rhevan. This is my fault. No, the Alpha's voice is firm. This is the cost of visibility, and it was always going to happen. But if you hadn't helped, the twins would still be crying, and we'd still have enemies. Rhevan crosses his arms. The only difference is that now they know you exist, and we can prepare for that. Ilyan's chest aches. I didn't ask for this. I know. Rhevan's gaze softens just slightly. But you chose it anyway, and now we deal with the consequences. The days blur together after that. Ilyan stays inside, plays with the twins, learns their rhythms, when they sleep, when they eat, when they need comfort instead of food. The nanny keeps her distance, polite but cold, and Ilyan doesn't blame her. Rhevan disappears for hours at a time, meetings, calls, strategies Ilyan isn't privy to. And every night, Ilyan lies awake wondering if he made the right choice. Until the 8th day. He's in the twins' room, reading aloud from a picture book neither baby can understand, when his phone buzzes. Unknown number. Ilyan stares at it. He shouldn't answer. Davina told him not to engage with anyone outside the house, but something compels him to swipe. Hello? Silence, then breathing. Ilyan Roe, a voice says, male, distorted. We know who you are. His blood goes cold. We know what you can do. We know where you live. The voice is calm, clinical. And we know the twins aren't yours. Ilyan's hand shakes. What do you want? Nothing yet. A pause. But we will, soon. The line goes dead. Ilyan drops the phone like it burned him. The twins, oblivious, coo softly in their cribs, and Ilyan realizes, with a clarity that makes his stomach drop, that the threat isn't theoretical anymore, it's here. How do you fight an enemy you can't see? Rhevan doesn't yell. Ilyan almost wishes he would. Instead, the Alpha stands in the study, hands braced against the desk, staring at the phone Ilyan just handed over. The recording is playing on speaker. Distorted voice, calm threats, the click of disconnection. When it ends, The silence is worse than anything Ilyan's ever heard. "Why didn't you tell me immediately?" Rhevan asks. His voice is quiet, controlled, dangerous. Ilyan swallows. "I didn't know what to do." "You tell me, that's what you do." The alpha straightens, turning to face him. "You don't sit on it for 3 hours. You don't try to handle it alone." "I wasn't trying to." "Then what were you doing?" Rhevan's voice sharpens. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you put yourself and the twins at risk by keeping quiet." The words hit like a slap. Ilyan's jaw tightens. "I was scared." "Good. Fear keeps you alive." Rhevan crosses his arms. "But silence gets you killed." Ilyan looks away, shame burning in his chest. The alpha exhales slowly, running a hand through his hair. When he speaks again, his voice is calmer. "I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at the situation. But you need to understand, these people don't make idle threats. If they called you, it's because they're ready to act." "What do they want?" "Leverage." Rhevan moves to the window, staring out at the dark grounds. "They want something I have, and they think threatening you or the twins will get it for them." "Will it?" The alpha doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is cold. "No." Ilyan's stomach twists. "What are you going to do?" "What I always do." Rhevan turns back to face him. "Remove the problem." "How?" "That's not something you need to know." "Yes, it is." Ilyan steps forward. "If I'm part of this, I deserve to know what's happening." Rhevan's gaze sharpens. "You want the truth?" "Yes." "Fine." The alpha's voice is hard. "I'm going to trace that call, find out who made it, and then I'm going to take everything they have, their money, their power, their connections, until they have nothing left. No blood, no headlines, just gone." Ilyan's breath catches. "You're going to destroy them. I'm going to neutralize them." Rhevan's expression doesn't change. "There's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes." The alpha steps closer. "Destruction is personal. Neutralization is strategic. I don't care about revenge. I care about making sure they can't threaten my family again." The word family hangs in the air. Ilyan doesn't know if he's included in that definition. He's too afraid to ask. "How long will it take?" he asks instead. "Days, maybe a week." Rhevan's jaw tightens. "In the meantime, you stay inside. You don't answer calls from unknown numbers. You don't go near windows. And you definitely don't try to handle threats on your own." "I wasn't." "Yes, you were." The alpha's voice is firm but not unkind. "And I understand why. But you're not alone anymore, Ilyan. And the sooner you accept that, the safer we all are." The words settle over him like a weight. Not crushing, just present. "Okay," Ilyan says quietly. Rhevan nods. "Good. Now go check on the twins. I have calls to make." Ilyan leaves the study, closing the door behind him. His hands are still shaking. In the twins' room, the babies sleep peacefully, unaware, innocent. Ilyan sits in the rocking chair and watches them breathe. He doesn't know what Rhevan is planning, doesn't know who made that call or what they really want. But he knows one thing with absolute certainty. He won't let anyone hurt these children, even if it costs him everything. The days that follow are strange. Rhevan is gone more than he's home. Davina comes and goes, always with new information, always tight-lipped. The nanny moves through the house like a ghost, doing her job but saying nothing. And Ilyan waits. He plays with the twins, feeds them, rocks them to sleep, reads to them even though they don't understand the words, and he listens for footsteps, for voices, for anything that might signal danger. On the fourth day, Rhevan comes home early. He finds Ilyan in the living room, one twin asleep on his chest, the other in a bouncer nearby. "It's done," the alpha says. Ilyan looks up. "What's done?" "The threat." Rhevan's voice is flat. "It's been handled." "How?" "The person who called you was part of a larger operation. Offshore accounts, shell companies, all designed to hide the real players." Rhevan sits down across from him. "I traced it back to a competitor. Someone who thought they could use the twins as leverage to force me into a merger." Ilyan's blood runs cold. "What did you do?" "I bought them out. Every asset, every holding, every piece of leverage they thought they had." The alpha's smile is sharp. "They don't exist anymore. Not in any way that matters." "And the person who called me?" "Disappeared." Rhevan's gaze is steady. "Not literally, but professionally, legally, financially. They're no longer a threat." Ilyan should feel relieved. He doesn't. He feels unsettled. "You did all that in 4 days?" he asks. "I had help." Rhevan leans back. "And motivation?" "Because of the twins. Because of you." The alpha's voice is quiet. "They threatened you. And I don't tolerate threats against people under my protection." Ilyan's chest tightens. "I didn't ask you to." "I know." Rhevan's expression softens. "But you didn't have to." Silence stretches between them. The twin on Ilyan's chest stirs, making soft, cooing sounds. He adjusts his hold, rocking gently. "What now?" Ilyan asks. "Now we move forward." Rhevan stands. "The immediate threat is gone, but there will be others. There always are. And when they come, we handle them." The alpha's voice is firm. "Together?" Ilyan nods slowly. He doesn't feel safe, but he feels less alone, and maybe for now, that's enough. When the danger fades, do you celebrate survival or prepare for what comes next? The gathering is supposed to be small, intimate, Rhevan called it, just close associates. People who matter, people who need to know that the alpha's life is stable despite recent upheaval. Ilyan stands in the upstairs hallway, staring at his reflection in a full-length mirror, and wonders how he ended up here. The suit fits perfectly, tailored, expensive, the kind of thing he never imagined wearing. His hair is styled, nothing dramatic, just neat. And someone even convinced him to let them trim his nails. He looks like he belongs. He feels like an imposter. Downstairs, voices drift up, laughter, the clink of glasses, music playing softly in the background. Rhevan is down there somewhere, playing host, being the version of himself that the world expects. Ilyan hasn't seen that version yet. He's only seen the man who stands in twins' rooms at 3 a.m., watching them breathe. A knock at the door. The nanny pokes her head in. "They're asking for you." Ilyan's stomach drops. "Who is?" "Mr. Calder and his guests." Her expression is carefully neutral. "He wants to introduce you." "I don't think that's a good idea." "I don't think you have a choice." She disappears before he can respond. Ilyan takes one last look in the mirror. The man staring back looks confident, composed. It's a lie, but it'll have to do. He descends the stairs slowly. The foyer opens into a large living area filled with people, men in sharp suits, women in elegant dresses, everyone holding drinks and laughing at jokes Ilyan can't hear. Rhevan spots him immediately. The alpha excuses himself from a conversation and crosses the room, moving with that same controlled grace that makes everyone else look hurried. "You came," Rhevan says, quietly. "You asked me to." "I did." The alpha's gaze sweeps over him. "You look good." Ilyan's face heats. "Thanks." "Come, there are people you should meet." Before Ilyan can protest, Rhevan's hand is on his lower back, guiding him toward a cluster of guests. The touch is light, impersonal, but Ilyan feels it like a brand. "Everyone," Rhevan says, voice carrying easily. This is Ilyan Roe. He's been helping with the twins. Polite smiles, nods, eyes that assess and calculate. A woman in a red dress extends her hand. Pleasure. I'm Corinne. I work with Rhevan on acquisitions. Ilyan shakes her hand. Nice to meet you. I hear you're quite good with children, Corinne says. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. I try. That's modest. A man next to her, older, gray-haired, expensive watch, steps forward. From what I understand, you're exceptional. Ilyan doesn't know how to respond to that. Rhevan's hand presses slightly against his back, a warning or support, maybe both. Ilyan has a natural gift, the alpha says smoothly. The twins are lucky to have him. More nods, more smiles, but Ilyan can feel the undercurrent. They're not impressed, they're curious, and curiosity in a room like this feels dangerous. The conversation shifts, business talk, mergers, acquisitions, things Ilyan doesn't understand and wasn't invited to understand. He stands there, smiling when appropriate, nodding when expected, and feeling more out of place with every passing second, until someone says something that makes the room go quiet. It's a shame, really, a man in a navy suit says, voice carrying. That omegas have to compensate for biological defects with creativity. Ilyan's spine goes rigid. Rhevan's hand drops from his back. The man doesn't seem to notice the shift in atmosphere. He continues, oblivious or uncaring. I mean, it's impressive in a desperate sort of way, but let's not pretend it's natural. Corinne laughs, nervous, awkward. Someone else clears their throat. The man in navy finally looks around, noticing the silence. What? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. No, Ilyan says quietly. You're saying what you're thinking. The man blinks. Excuse me? You heard me. Ilyan steps forward and Rhevan doesn't stop him. You called it a defect, you called it desperate, but you don't know what you're talking about. I think You don't. Ilyan's voice is steady now, calm in a way that surprises even him. You see something you don't understand, and instead of asking questions, you mock it. You reduce it to something shameful. But the only thing shameful here is your ignorance. The room is silent. The man's face flushes. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. Ilyan doesn't raise his voice, doesn't need to. And that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but don't expect the rest of us to agree just because you said it out loud. No one moves. No one speaks. The man in navy opens his mouth, then closes it. He looks around for support, finds none, and sets his glass down with more force than necessary. I think I'll get some air, he mutters, then leaves. The room exhales. Corinne stares at Ilyan like she's seeing him for the first time. The older man with the expensive watch nods slowly, something like respect in his eyes. And Rhevan just watches with an expression Ilyan can't read. Well, Corinne says finally, breaking the silence, that was overdue. A few people laugh, tentative, relieved. The conversation resumes, but it's different now, softer, more careful. And when Ilyan glances at Rhevan, the alpha's lips quirk into the faintest smile. Later, after the guests leave and the house falls quiet, Ilyan finds Rhevan in the study. I shouldn't have said that, Ilyan says from the doorway. Rhevan looks up from his desk. Why not? Because I embarrassed him. In your home. In front of your associates. He embarrassed himself. The alpha leans back. You just pointed it out. Still nothing? Rhevan stands, crossing to where Ilyan hovers uncertainly. You stood up for yourself. You refuse to be reduced to something shameful. That's not something to apologize for. Ilyan's throat tightens. People are going to talk. Let them. Rhevan's voice is firm. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them see that you're not someone to be dismissed. You're not worried about your reputation? My reputation, Rhevan says slowly, has survived worse than one Omega telling the truth. Ilyan doesn't know what to say, so he just nods. Rhevan studies him for a moment, then does something unexpected. He smiles, not the controlled smile he wears in public, not the sharp smile that accompanies threats. A real smile, small, genuine. You did well tonight, the Alpha says. And for the first time since stepping into that room full of strangers, Ilyan believes him. What does it cost to finally be seen for who you are, not what people expect you to be? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that inspire. Share your thoughts below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. The hospital room smells like antiseptic and fear. Ilyan sits beside the incubator, watching the twins' chest rise and fall through transparent walls. Pneumonia? The doctors said it's manageable, treatable, but the word hangs in the air like a death sentence nobody wants to say out loud. Rhevan stands by the window, phone pressed to his ear, voice clipped and cold. Business doesn't stop for sick children. The world doesn't pause just because your heart is breaking. But Ilyan sees the way the Alpha's hand shakes when he thinks nobody's watching. The twin, the smaller one, the one who always cried first, stirs slightly. Monitors beep. Nurses move with practiced efficiency, adjusting tubes, checking, vitals, speaking in hushed tones that make everything feel worse. Ilyan presses his palm against the incubator glass. His scent shifts without permission, warm and desperate, trying to reach through barriers that biology can't cross. The baby doesn't respond. Rhevan ends his call and crosses the room. He doesn't sit, just stands there, arms crossed, jaw tight, staring at the child who might not make it through the night. They're saying 72 hours, the Alpha says quietly. Critical window. Ilyan doesn't look away from the baby. I know. If the fever doesn't break, I know. Ilyan's voice cracks. I heard them. Silence stretches between them, heavy and suffocating. Then Rhevan does something unexpected. He sits, right there on the floor beside Ilyan's chair, back against the wall, head tilted back, eyes closed. I can't lose them, the Alpha whispers. Not after everything. Ilyan's throat tightens. You won't. You don't know that. No? Ilyan finally looks at him. But I'm choosing to believe it anyway. Rhevan opens his eyes. There's something raw in his expression, something stripped of the control he wears like armor. Why did you stay? The Alpha asks suddenly. What? After the threats, after the gathering, after everything. Rhevan's voice is steady but quiet. Why didn't you leave when you had the chance? Ilyan thinks about the question, really thinks about it. Because leaving would have been easier, he says finally, and I'm tired of choosing easy. The words land between them like truth neither expected. A nurse enters, checks the monitors, adjusts something Ilyan doesn't understand. She offers a small smile, professional, practiced, and leaves without speaking. The beeping continues, steady, relentless, counting down seconds that feel like hours. Rhevan stands, moves to the incubator, and places his hand exactly where Ilyan's was. Their fingers don't touch, but the space between them feels smaller than it did before. If we get through this, the Alpha says softly, things are going to change. What things? Everything. Rhevan's gaze doesn't leave the baby. I can't keep pretending I'm doing this alone. I can't keep pretending you're just help. Ilyan's pulse kicks up. Then what am I? Rhevan turns, and for the first time since they met, the Alpha looks uncertain. I don't know yet, he admits, but I want to find out. The monitor beeps faster. The baby stirs again, tiny fist uncurling slightly, and somewhere in that sterile room, surrounded by machines and fear and impossible choices, something shifts, not healed, not fixed, but present. Will the twin survive the night? Will Rhevan finally let someone in? What happens when protection becomes something more? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that inspire. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.